Raiders at long last is launching later this week. Today we're running down everything that you need to know before the game's launch on the 30th, so you're entirely ready to jump in as soon as you'd like. So drop your thoughts as we go along, drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Arc Raiders, and join us on that road to 700,000 subscribers together. I'd love to have you in the community. We're gonna have so much Arc Raiders content this week and beyond with this launch. Incredibly excited to grind it all out with you. But for now, let's get into what you need to know about Arc Raiders ahead of its launch. First, if you're brand new to the game, firstly, welcome. But secondly, what is Arc Raiders? Well, Arc Raiders is a multiplayer extraction adventure game set on a deadly, desolate future Earth where the world as we know it has almost disappeared. The mysterious machines known as the Ark threaten humanity's settlement on the surface, forcing people to hide underground in order to survive. Most are simply content with getting through each day, but as one of the Raiders, you will venture to the surface alone or together with allies, searching the ruins of the lost world for any and everything you can bring back. Arc Raiders will be available on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC via Steam, Epic Games, and can be played remotely with GeForce Now. It'll be available for that service as well. But there's a lot of platforms, so is Arc Raiders going to be cross-platform and cross-save friendly? Firstly, yes, you can play on any platform of your choice and play with people who may be on different platforms. No console restrictions or anything like that. But for cross-save, yes, your account progression and items will be tied to your Embark ID that you'll create with the game. So any progress made on one platform, if you decide to jump to another, it will still be there. The only caveat is that you will need to purchase the game once again in order to play it on a different platform. So if you go from PC to PlayStation or PC to Xbox, you'll need to end up buying the game for both platforms. One purchase does not transfer access across platforms. However, one thing to note is that if you decide you want to transfer platforms at any specific time, and you've already got, say, the Deluxe Edition, you can buy just the Standard Edition for that second time. All previously owned Deluxe Edition items will transfer between platforms. You just basically need that sort of admission ticket of sorts with the game purchase. So that said, the game is coming up on October 30th. Is there an available preload for Arc Raiders? Officially speaking, nothing has been announced just yet. However, PlayStation users have already reported that the option is there for them starting at 3 a.m. Pacific, 6 a.m. Eastern, and 10 a.m. GMT, as well as elsewhere in the world with those comparable timelines. If that time is to be believed as the starting point for preloads, it's likely a safe assumption that will be the timing for the rest of the game's versions as well across all platforms, not just PlayStation. As for the sizing of the game, until a preload is available when we actually have the ability to download, specifics are not necessarily known just yet. The previous largest version of the game we had access to was the Tech Test 2 back in April. That was only about 24 gigabytes of data, and developers have expressed their interest in having a relatively bloat-free experience. So an estimation would probably put this around 30 to 40 gigabytes as a safe guess, but again, until an actual preload has started, we won't know for sure. As for a global launch time, we mentioned the game launches on October 30th, but as for specific timing, nothing has been mentioned officially speaking from Embark, but based off of information given from PlayStation listings as well as Steam databasing, 3 a.m. Pacific, 6 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. in the UK, and elsewhere in the world, denoted by the graphic you'll see to help convert those time zones, appears to be when the game will actually launch. This looking like it's going to be one singular launch time for the game across the world, not just a gradual rollout at midnight local times, which makes sense given the fact we just had a server slam with the sole purpose of trying to overload the servers to make sure they were stable for the launch here. So we shouldn't have any issues if the server slam is any indication as to what happened, but all at one singular global time it looks to launch. Now, as for the requirements for PC and some console generations here, as for your PC requirements, minimum, you're going to be looking at something that requires Windows 10 or later, a CPU of an i5-6600K or AMD Ryzen R5 1600, 12 gigabytes of RAM, a GTX 1050 Ti, AMD Radeon RX 580 or an Intel Arc 380 GPU, and DirectX 12. This is something that really relies on components from late 2016 or newer, so for the most part, basically any system you may come in contact with can probably run Arc Raiders. Now, to what degree? That's entirely up to the hardware you have, but this game is actually really optimized. One of, I'd say, very few Unreal 5 engine games out there right now that's actually like incredible with performance. Now, that said, that's not the recommended specifications. Obviously, that just gets you running the game, but recommended, you're going to want Windows 12 or later, an i5 9600K or Ryzen 5 3600 CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, an RTX 2070, Radeon RX 5700 XT, or Intel Arc B570 GPU, and DirectX 12, those being components from relatively late 2018 or newer. And then epic settings to like fully crank out this game visually. You're going to want Windows 10 or later, an i7 9700K or Ryzen 7 3700X CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, an RTX 4070 Ti or Radeon RX 7900 XTX graphics card, and DirectX 12. This is going to be something that it's a newer build by comparison to what we've just mentioned, around relatively mid 2023 for those components, but it is something that is going to absolutely make the game look beautiful, like stunningly good, I think. So you can basically run this game on just about anything, but how good it looks and how it performs, what frame rate and resolution you'll get is all dependent, but those are your specifications you'll see in those tiers. As for PlayStation 5 versus PlayStation 5 Pro, this is one thing that they also specified, because with a mid-generation console available, PlayStation 5, the core, you're looking at a resolution around upwards of 1600p. PlayStation 5 Pro, though, can go all the way up to 4K resolution. As well, the base PlayStation 5 will only have that sort of ceiling of high quality, with the PlayStation 5 Pro being able to push those epic quality settings you'll see comparable to PC versions. This comes also along with variability in scaling, depending on global illumination, shadows, reflections, post-processing, texture resolution and filtering, VFX and view distance, and so on and so forth, obviously favoring the PlayStation 5 Pro. So while you can run it totally fine on the base versions, you're going to definitely see some differences in the upgraded mid-generation console for the PlayStation 5 Pro. That said, let's talk about launch a little bit and what you can expect to see from the game once you boot it up. First things first, kind of starting with a nice little, I guess you could say, bonus here, you will end up having all of your prior earned rewards with you on day one. So whether or not you took part in the tech test and server slams, you'll get those bonuses associated with that. Pre-purchase bonuses, if you ended up pre-ordering the game, you'll end up having the Lucky Duck bundle and Bruiser bundle available. As well, if you pre-purchase the deluxe edition, you'll get those two bundles plus the third bonus of the Astro bundle. Additionally, if you ended up getting the deluxe edition, you'll also have the Wanderer set available to you. So a wide variety of different cosmetics from day one available for you, depending on what version of the game, when you purchased it, and any sort of prior testing that you did with the game. That will all be there for you. Additionally, the content available for the game, obviously, the full game. All maps of Dam Battleground, Spaceport, Buried City, the Blue Gate, all those variable conditions that come along with it, like the Harvester, Husk Graveyard, Probe Heist, Hidden Caches, Lush Blooms, Night Raids, Electromagnetic Storms, all traders, all stations in your workshop, all trials, decks, character customization, and so on. Everything is available to use. The most recent server slam was reportedly about only 10% of the content you have available with a full launch, so while it felt like for a lot of players that may have jumped in for the first time that there really wasn't a lot to do, well, yeah, you're gonna see a lot more to do with the launch of the game now at this point. One thing to also keep in mind when talking about the full game and its availability is you're going to have to go through that training sequence again. For anyone who's played the tech test, the server slam, and more, this will be familiar to you and perhaps maybe even annoying to do. Like, I think this will be my fourth time, I want to say, doing this same tutorial. One behind closed doors with a tech test preview event, one time with the public tech test when it was available to everybody that had an invite to that, one time with the server slam, and then again with the full launch upcoming. Yeah, it's the same exact thing. You're going to have that once again. But other than that, let's talk a little bit about your gameplay experience here with day one and what you'll have on offer. Matchmaking is one of those things that is very key and integral to a game like this. If you're a solo player going up against a game that prioritizes trios, you're at a disadvantage, right? Well, nice part is matchmaking prioritizes solos with other solos. It's not a guarantee, but it prioritizes that, where you're going to see probably a lot more solos than if you're a trio going in, seeing a solo there. Duos and trios, your max in your squads, will prioritize matching with other parties of varied sizing. So if you're a two-person duo squad, you'll run into a lot of trios, maybe a duo here and there, but then trios, yeah, you're probably going to be going up against other full squads as well. There was a rumor recently going around of gear-based matchmaking, meaning if you had some really good loot, you're probably going to be matched up against other players with really good loot. That was something that was explicitly denied by the development team at Embark, where they said, we've noticed some discussions around loot or gear score matchmaking. While it is true that the team has previously evaluated a loot and gear-based as well as other types of matchmaking principles, right now the focus is on maintaining the split between solos and squads to keep those grounds on an even playing field whenever possible. After launch, we'll continue to monitor how things go. The team is determined to ensure that players have high-quality rounds that are varied and interesting, but fair, which is definitely what you want to hear of this, kind of dispelling that rumor, because that makes the idea of a zero to hero type of run where you go in with maybe a free loadout and come out with some crazy loot. That makes that almost all but impossible if that sort of matchmaking was in place. Nice to hear that it is not. As for gameplay changes, there hasn't been a whole lot in terms of a changelog or anything detailed about what to expect with day one. However, based off of the server slam build that we had of the game, there have been a few adjustments mentioned that will be there from day one that's different from what we saw with the server slam just a few weeks ago. They stated stability is something that they helped identify and quickly resolve issues across all platforms during the test, and they've locked in even more solutions leading up to the launch day to ensure a smooth launch experience. The flying arcs, they said it turned out their awareness was a bit too high, so allowing them to essentially see through trees and bushes, making their vision unintentionally overpowered, but what they see has been adjusted for launch so players can expect a fairer fight with day one. The dam tower, we ended up seeing that there was a lot of players that could have skipped the key acquisition there for the locked tower loot room where players were jumping off the side and catching themselves on the ledge there, essentially skipping the need for that key. That has been adjusted. You're not going to be able to do that at day one. And visually, there's a difference where some players may have noticed the server slam being somewhat lesser quality compared to the tech test, depending on certain hardware. That was something they were really focused only on the servers being overwhelmed and trying to slam them, as the name would suggest, as much as possible. However, day one, the tuning will be there at a right balance, and graphical fidelity will be something you'll notice is better. So that is day one and what to expect at launch, though things that are still to be explored a little come down to the post-launch content. Obviously, what we have on offer is going to be a lot on day one, but what about the future? That was actually something that was mentioned a little bit by some of the developers in some recent podcasts at TwitchCon, where they ended up saying the game is intended to be a 10-year game. So there is a lot of stuff being planned for the future here of this. At what regular interval or cadence we see those drops, that's something we still don't know quite just yet. However, it was mentioned we will see something added within the game before Christmas. It was hinted that could have been that new map of Stella Montis, as well as new arc variants and enemies, and it appears that Embark has a rather ambitious post-launch plan for the game with consistent updates, and that a roadmap is expected sometime soon in the near future. Other than that, though, that is everything that you need to know about Arc Raiders leading up to the game's launch here on October 30th. I'm very excited to jump in with all you guys, so let me know your thoughts down below. Is there anything in particular you guys are really looking forward to out of the lead up here and with the launch of the game? Anything that you guys are really looking forward to tackling? Let me know. But that said, if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on the video. And of course, if you are new to the channel, you'd like to stay up to date with all the Arc Raiders content and even more while helping us out on that road to 700,000 subscribers, I'd love to have you in the community. Hit that subscribe button. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. We're very, very close to the launch here and going topside, and I'll see you there. Take care and peace.